Hello, good morning. Welcome to Glasgow Raiders Nation. This is your match day news. It is not just a normal match day, it's a Thursday night. So hopefully another fantastic performance coming up for Rangers. Another fantastic Rangers Thursday night. Hopefully is fast approaching for us. There's been some good Thursday nights, hasn't there? This Europa League campaign. Obviously with the Nice result, the Malmo result, the FCSB result. There's been some top European performances. Let's hope that continues tonight against English team Tottenham or Spurs or Tottenham Hotspur or whatever you wish to call them. Managed obviously by a former foe. That's right, former Celtic manager Ange Postecoglou returns to Ibrox tonight. No doubt our fans will make him welcome and give him a warm Glasgow welcome back to Govan. Right, guys, we're going to talk obviously about tonight's game. We're going to talk also about Philippe Clement's press conference. We're going to talk a little bit as well about our corner nightmare. Guys, it's a real bad one. I want to share with you some stats and something, it's pretty shocking. Pretty shocking. We'll also touch a little bit on Patrick Stewart as well, who obviously comes to start his job on Monday. That's right, next Monday after the cup final on the Sunday. Could be a very interesting Monday if we lose the cup final for someone to boldly go where no one has gone before. Anyway, let's think about Philippe Clement's presser that took place today. Now, we brought you a video earlier yesterday. If you didn't catch it, obviously, with James Tavernier talking about talking about the game, talking about his battle with Dujon Sterling, talking about a number of different topics, guys. So please obviously check out that video if you want to find out a little bit more about that. So what do we know? What did Clement say? I think like you, like me, a lot of you have kind of turned off to Philippe Clement's pressers, kind of given up a little bit with what he's got to say. But there were some interesting points to pull out of his presser today. Obviously, the team news is interesting. There's a couple of other points I want to kind of pull out of what Clement said in his press conference today. Now, in terms of players being available, now he was asked for team news, which he kind of turned into a bit of a joke by saying that we were asking for my team, which is not actually what the journalist said. But in terms of team availability coming into the game tonight, there are a number of players still missing through injury. Tom Lawrence, of course, will be out injured. I don't think that's a massive loss, if I'm being honest with you. I know he's got goals and assists this year, but his general all-round play has been poor. Ravi Matondo apparently is back training, but not yet fit enough to be part of the matchday squad. Also, Oscar Cortez is getting closer to playing, in Philippe Clement's words, some minutes. So again, Cortez continues to be out and continues to be missing from the squad. We've also got some news about Ravi Matondo coming up and a possible exit in January, so hang on for that one. Clement spoke as well about the fact that today would be a very tough challenge for Rangers, which it will be. Tottenham, no matter what you think of Tottenham and their appalling form this year, or mixed form, shall we say, 7 defeats from 15 games this year, and some pretty bad defeats, but also some pretty remarkable victories against the likes, say, of Manchester City and Aston Villa. He talked also about the fact that that lots of analysis work had been done, lots of work looking at the strengths and weaknesses of Tottenham had been done, and this has been put into practice on the practice field. So clearly, a lot of work has been done in terms of the analytical side, in terms of the data side, looking at this opposition team, looking at where we can hurt them, looking at where we can cause them problems. I'd go as far as to say it's a little bit of a bit of a letdown that Guillermo Vicario, their goalkeeper, isn't playing, because the guy is virtually Dracula. Clement also spoke about the need for, in his words, the good performances to continue. He said that we'd had a number of good performances, but we do know that we need to continue that. Now, there was an interesting point which Clement made, which I kind of think that it's actually his fault in a way. He said, it's a little disappointing not to have Danilo and Hadji available, but this is down to circumstances we faced in September and the decisions we had to make at that time. I mean, look, Phil, we know that the reason we haven't got Hadji is because you and the board couldn't sort his contract problems out, which, is pretty pathetic. And obviously, the Danilo, I think, was a short term, very ridiculous decision as well in terms of not including him in the Europa League squad. So, I mean, I think there's mistakes being made quite clear there by Clement, by his staff, and by the board, which means we haven't got our full strength team for tonight's game. Clement spoke about the need, he said, to create a moment tonight and to be focused on Thursday night and turning Ibrox into that Ibrox bear pit that we know that it can be. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, look, there's a lot of focus going into Sunday. There is a huge amount of focus going into Sunday's game, and quite rightly, it's the League Cup final, it's a domestic trophy, it's probably the trophy we've got more chance of winning. I mean, realistically, we're not going to win the Europa League. I mean, you look at the Europa League standings as they stand at the moment, there are some bloody good football teams in this Europa League this season. Actually, Athletic Bilbao played last night, won 2-0. They're top. I mean, Athletic Bilbao have some pretty phenomenal players. A number of players, obviously, who play for Spain in the European Championships and looked really good. Lazio, another good team. Eintracht Frankfurt, another good team. Galatasaray, Anderlecht, Ajax, a good team. Lyon, we know, are a good team. Spurs, FCSB, Ferencvaros, Manchester United, who I think we'll see a different side to with new head coach Ruben Amorim. But, going into tonight's game, before we touch back on what Clement said, we are 8th. We are in those automatic knockout spots where we wouldn't have to face a playoff. Hopefully that's something we can maintain going through these last few games against the likes of Spurs, the likes, obviously, of Manchester United as well, and Union Saint-Gilloise. So, there's a number of games left, but, it's hopeful that we can maintain that top 8 spot. But that point I was making, there are a lot of very good teams in this Europa League, and it will be a very tough league to actually come out of, to win, and to be successful in. So, Clement spoke about creating this moment. And, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I think, I know, like I said, the focus is very much around Sunday, and it's very much around, performing Sunday, about beating Celtic, about the game against that lot. But we've got a real chance tonight to kind of lay down a marker and create kind of a marker point for this club, a marker point for this team. I mean, look, underestimate Spurs all you want. Yes, they're not in the best of form. Yes, they are underperforming this season, but they are still an English giant. They still have an awful lot of money. They're still worth a lot of money. They still have some very good footballers in their team, Kulusevski and Sarr and Udogie and Heung Son Min. There's some very good players in this team. So they're a team that can cause damage to a number of clubs. And we saw, obviously, what they did to Manchester City, what they did to Aston Villa, James Maddison, another player that they've got. But look, this is a real opportunity tonight. A positive result in tonight's game really does lay down a marker, becomes a line in the sand, and becomes a reference point, I think, for this team. And you've got to look at this team in terms of the fact that, we need something that is a motivating factor, that is a historical point where you go, yes, that's where it changed. Yes, that's where we became the Rangers that we should be. And, as I've said on a number of occasions, and people accuse me of being deluded and etc., etc., Rangers are one of the biggest clubs in European football. Rangers have an expectation. If you play for Rangers, there is an expectation that you win trophies, an expectation that you go out there and you win games. It is, as Walter Smith said, gone beyond a way of life for some people, particularly fans, obviously. So, there is a real need, I think, there to go out there and really perform tonight against Spurs and lay down a marker that could be a motivating factor for the rest of the season. Now, look, you look at the situation tonight going into the game, and you look at the players, and you look at, obviously, the changes we've got to make. So, like, Hadji has to come out of the team. He has been almost metronomic and in terms of, manipulating the team and getting the team to play well and breaking down the block. Now, I don't think for 1 minute we're going to face a low block against Tottenham. That's not their style. But the same token, this is a guy who has created chances, who's fast for quick passing, gets the team going. Also, Danilo is a massive miss. I think his movement, his ability to beat a player, his ability to play pretty much anywhere amongst that front three, is an absolutely vital skill, something Cyril Dessers just simply cannot do. So, look, I do think that there is an element of that. Now, the other thing, of course, going into tonight's game is the impact these three are going to have. Now, I do believe that Nadim Bayrami will start tonight. mainly because, of course, there's no Danilo. I honestly think the front four will be Bayrami on the left, Czerny on the right, Dio in the 10 role, and Hamza, and hopefully Hamza Igman up front. We'll touch on that shortly. But there's a lot for tonight's game. There is a lot riding on these three players. Now, I think Raskin and I think Barron will obviously sit in front of the back four and support and cushion the back four against obviously a very potent Tottenham attack. Look, Nicholas Raskin has been phenomenal in recent weeks. He's been absolutely fantastic in that 6 role. And he really is growing into that 6 role, becoming that modern 6. The guy who tackles, who destroys, who puts in recoveries, who gets the attacks going, gets the game started. So I do think that he has a massive role to play tonight, as does Connor Barron, who I believe will partner him. But going forward, looking in the forward areas, it's very much going to be down to Bayrami if he plays, Dio and Czerny to create those chances for Hamza Igman, hopefully tonight, to take those chances and to get those goals and to beat Tottenham. Like I said, I mean, if Tottenham turn up tonight playing like they did against Manchester City or against Villa, then realistically, we probably haven't got a chance in hell of beating them. But if they turn up and play like they did against Fulham, against Bournemouth, or like they have in more recent weeks, I think there's a very real chance that we could get something from tonight's game. And I think Nadim Bayrami has been good in Europe so far. There's a lot resting on him, especially with Yanis Hadji out to create from that left-hand side, to create chances, to thread balls through, to really create opportunities for the striker. Dio is a strange one. Times last season when Dio came in, he looked a good player. And at times this season, he's looked a decent player. But at times this season, he's really struggled. Now, tonight is a night where Dio needs to rediscover that top form and really get back to that best. His ability to turn away from a player, to give a little, give and go, to get attacks going, to go forward, to create, to play those killer passes, to really make that number 8, number 10, whatever role it is that he's best at, his own. And Václav Czerny is another one. Václav's had a good season. He has had a good season. Yes, he had that initial shaky spot when he was written off, I think, by a lot of people. But overall, he's come into his own. He's very direct. He attacks well. He creates well. He scores goals. He creates for others. Again, he's going to have a big role in tonight's game against Tottenham. So, look, there's a number of key areas. Now, the other one, of course, for me is around the striker. Now, look, Hamza Igman has scored 4 goals in his last 4 games, 3 and 3, has 4 goal contributions in the Europa League. For me, Hamza has got to start tonight. Even if you only use him for an hour or 55 minutes or something, or 50 minutes, something like that. And then, unfortunately, you do have to bring on the donkey, Cyril Dessers. But I just think, Hamza is kind of key to what happens tonight. The guy has got the ability to control the ball, to bring it under his spell, to link the attack and defence, which is something that Dessers can't do. He's got the pace to run in behind now against the high line. I think that'll be exceptionally useful. He's just a better all-round. He's a very good all-round footballer, and I think he does need to play tonight. And I think if Clement fails to pick him tonight and picks Dessers up top, we're going to have issues. You look at Tottenham, and one of the things they're weak at, like I said, he's been hit on the counter because they hold that high line. Dessers hasn't got the pace to get him behind, whereas Hamza has, as has Czerny, as has Dio. So hopefully that's something we can exploit tonight. But I think it very much depends on the manager getting his tactics right and his team selection right tonight. So I certainly hope that Hamza Igman plays tonight. Now, I believe, look, personally, I wouldn't pick Tav for tonight or Sunday night. I'd pick Sterling for both games. I thought he could stay fit. He's a better player. He's better defensively. Hyung Sung Min may not play, but if he does, he's going to rip Tav a new one. Tav does offer a threat going forward. Don't get me wrong, he still does. And as I said on the podcast yesterday, I think, when you're playing Ross County, Dundee, St Johnstone, he still has a role to play. But in these bigger games, I do believe that he should not be playing. Realistically, he probably will start tonight, and I'm afraid he probably will start in the cup final and will get absolutely torn to shreds by Maida, because we know that Maida owns Tav. So, that's obviously a big issue there that needs to be addressed by Philippe Clement. But I do believe that he will start the game tonight, which is a slight worry, is a slight concern. Okay, so look, that's Thursday night. I sort of wrapped up. Give me your predictions. Give me your team predictions. My team prediction for tonight, Butland in goal, back four, Tav, Suter, Proper. I think Proper comes in for Balogun because Balogun can't play 3 in a week. Jefte, Barron, Raskin, Dio in midfield, Cheney. I'm going to go Hamza, and I'm going to go Bayrami up top for Rangers. Right, look, let's talk a little bit about obviously the day after the cup final. We won't mention the cup final too much now. We'll try and steer away from that. You know, all that talk will come in preview podcast upcoming here on the channel. Please remember to hit the sub. Remember to obviously become a member as well, only 99p. We don't charge you for content. We don't hide content behind paywalls. We don't hide content on Patreon. So please obviously come and join the channel. So what do we know? Right, so we know that Patrick Stewart will take up his role as Rangers chairman the day after the cup final. It will be, of course, be December the 16th, and he could be facing an extremely interesting situation going into this cup final. You know, if Rangers lose the cup final, it's going to be a very toxic atmosphere. There's going to be a lot of blame slung backwards and forwards, and the manager will instantaneously come under pressure because, as we know, managers that can't beat Celtic, something Philippe Clement has not yet done, don't last very long at this club. That is just a fact of life. So there's a good chance, obviously, that, you know, that Clement could be banged back under pressure. But Stewart has, you know, Stewart's got a lot to take on when he comes into the club on Monday night. You know, not only has he got obviously his job to do, he's got to look at, you know, bringing in new investment. He's got to look perhaps obviously at bringing in a new chairman. There's a number of roles that need to be fulfilled, and still those are glaring areas that we need to look at. So the new chairman, sorry, the new CEO has a lot to do. He's also got a new chairman to pick as well. We haven't got a chairman at the moment. You know, there's a whole talk around new money coming into the club. Apparently John Gilligan has been working on that, something that Colin Stewart will be tasked with in terms of finding this new investment. You know, something that this club badly needs, and something that, you know, that we genuinely do need someone to come in and put some money into the club, given the debt and given the circumstances we find ourselves in. So, look, I'll be honest with you. You know, it's probably something that we do need. So, look, I mean, Patrick Stewart, I don't envy him his job. I really don't envy him his job. I genuinely don't. He's got a very difficult job to do upcoming. Okay, last night on yesterday afternoon on the podcast, I shared some statistics with you that was compiled by John Walker of This Is Ibrox. Great guy to follow. Over next, give him a follow. He said we've scored 6 corners from 439, a goal every 73 corners, which is obviously probably about 4 or 5 games. Arsenal are the gold standard just now and are scoring from every 7th corner. I mean, that's pretty phenomenal. Pretty phenomenal. Hypothetical scenario. Rangers with a dedicated set piece coach, analyst, and over time, if they could get near 1 in 9, 1 in 10, 15 corners in our 2-1 loss to Motherwell, 17 in our 3-2 loss to Ross County, 8 and 9 in our 0-0 draw with Dundee. So a goal in each of those games, hypothetically, it's a 5-point swing. So we can see, you know, how vital set pieces are, and we don't score from enough set pieces. Now, Clement has talked about him being the set piece coach. That's something he did mention. Personally speaking, I think, you know, that we do need to go and get a set piece coach, someone who can come in and make a real difference. You know, we've seen the difference that the Arsenal set piece coach makes. Hopefully that's a difference that she can make for our club. Now, here's some more stats around corners. This is the next one. Our last traditional corner goal, where we cross it into the in and the opposition doesn't touch it, was 357 corners ago. Just allow it to sink in for a minute. That's 357. That is a quite frightening amount, and that was against, I think it was Brechin or Dunbar or some really lower league team in the cup. Campbell near post flick on, Lundstrom around the back, goal. So, you know, a long time ago. You know, this is something that, you know, that obviously that we need to look at, something that needs to be addressed. For me, I think we need to vary our corner takers, vary our approach with corners. I think the issue is at the moment that we allow the same people to take corners all the time, and that's, you know, probably been well researched by the opposition team, looked at by the opposition teams. So I think there's a real need there to vary that and kind of move it around a little bit and be a bit more proactive in dealing with things like this. So I do feel that there is a need to improve that group rather than get rid of it. Look, whatever happens tonight, it's massive. It's huge. I mean, there's even talk of the fact we could get Ange Postecoglou sacked, which would be pretty immense after what he did to us as Celtic manager. Look, one thing I'm going to say is no matter what, we've got to come together tonight. No matter what our thoughts are on individual players, or on tactics, or on the manager, or on anything to do with the club, we need to come together tonight and really get behind the boys. Turn Ibrox into that bear pit we know it can be. Well, thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. As always, please smash the like, smash the sub. It's all free. If you do want to come part of the channel, if you do want to support the channel, it's just very much bargain 99p. Up in the obviously that's obviously up there by clicking the membership button down below here on the channel. Well, thank you for watching. Please smash the sub, smash the like, and remember always, please never ever forget, even though no one likes us and we don't care, we are the people.